Okay, so I'm ready to print. I've got my block. Get your paper ready before you start inking, prepping your ink, okay? So this paper has been sized and cut down to this block size. Okay, so my paper is ready, my block is ready. This is plexi. It's a large piece of plexi, so I put it down on the table. That's what you're going to ink on. Take your ink, put your ink down in a row. It should be like a finger size amount of ink. Okay? And it should go the distance, the width of the brayer, because you want to get it onto all the way across the brayer. This is called a brayer. Okay? So I pick up the ink. Oh, the other thing you're going to do, if you're making a large addition, like if I were making more than 5, or making like 10 of these or more, I would use what's called ink retarder to help the ink not dry out as fast as it's going to. So this is ink retarder. You use a small bottle because you don't need a lot, okay? Ink is a big bottle, retarder is a small bottle, okay? Because you don't need a lot. You need more of this than this. So I put like maybe a dime size amount down. If at any time you get like a gel that comes out, a clear gel, that's just the binder for the ink. Okay, that's not bad. You just have to mix that up into the ink. So I am going to mix the retarder into my ink. Say I was going to do a lot of these prints. And the retarder helps to make sure that the ink doesn't dry out as quickly as it will. It's naturally going to dry out. By print number 5 or 6, you're going to tend to have a little more difficulty with it. Okay. So I touch down on top, and then I go to a new spot. I'm not going to roll the brayer on top of my ink supply, because it's just too much ink to work out right now. I'm going to pick up that ink later as I go. And as I move the brayer, I'm lifting it up like this. Okay? Where you're going to see is that on the brayer right now, it's very streaky. Do you see the streakiness to the brayer? It looks like rain on a window. That's way too much ink. So if I were to continue working in this spot, it would just take me a really long time to develop the ink. So I'm actually going to move over to a new spot right here. I'm also going to change the direction that I'm going in, like this. And you're going to see that soon it'll look speckly. Like that looks happier. It doesn't look like rain on a window. Do you notice that I'm not traveling everywhere when I'm rolling this out? I'm keeping my ink in a nice square. Okay? Here's the difference between how I was processing the ink here and here. I don't know if you can tell in the bright light. It's like rain on a window over here. You can even see that it's like really, really gooey. And then this is how I want it, which is speckly. And when it's perfect, you'll hear the ticky-tacky sound. You hear that sound? That's what you want. This means that it's ready to go. Okay, so I'm ready to ink my block. I made a couple passes. That's all I'm going to get out of this application, this one pass of the ink that's on here. So I'm going to go pick up some more ink and go over the spots that didn't come out that well. Okay. As soon as it looks like it's got a nice covering, it's not really gooey and ooey and looks like rain on a window. It looks speckly. This is ready to print. So I put my paper down. I always want to make sure I put the same corner down on my block. I'm always going to choose the left bottom corner. This is going to be important for later when you do prints that are multiple colors and you need to register your layers. If you kind of put it on the middle here for the first layer and then put it perfectly on the edge the next time, and then the paper is always shifting everywhere. You can be sure that your paper is not going to shift. It's going to be in the same spot every time if you choose right away a specific corner. So I'm lining it up perfectly in the left-hand corner. I rub the top like this. Kind of get it to sit down. Then I take my spoon. It's my little personal press. I start at whatever spot. So I'm going to start at the left corner. And I'm going to work my way this way. I'm not going to just go all over the place like this because I don't know what I really hit, what I really pressed down. So I'm going to start in the left bottom corner. I'm going to work my way out from there. I want to see if I missed any spots, so I'm not gonna take the paper off all the way. I'm just gonna lift it up and see how I did. Pretty good. I need to go back down and press harder here at the edges. Always the edges, always a problem. So I put it back down, push at the edge there, and up here. Okay, and I want to check the other side now. So I'm gonna lift it up from this side. See how I did. Pretty good. I don't really need to go back down on this side. And now I can lift it away. There we go. There's my print. So as you can see, the left, where I carved out just, whoops, haha, just kidding, it's opposite. It goes like this. Hello. The right, where I carved out all the black, is now white. And on the right, or on the left of the print, where I carved out everything that was white and left the black, everything's green. That's the difference. So either you have a background that is dark and your design is white, or you have a background that is white and your design is dark, or whatever color it is. Now if I were to print this again, I might say, I don't really want that spot, so I'd go back and I'd carve out that spot right there. Okay, so that's after your first print. Take a look and see if there's any spots that you need to fix with your carving tool. Okay, so I would keep going. I can't print this again, even though it looks like there's ink on there. It's not really an ink, it's just stained. And these little spots have been drying out. Depends on how quickly I work. If I were to just print, pull it up, put another piece of paper down, I could just go back here and lay down some more ink. But there's just not enough right there right now. So I'll just get a little bit, not a ton, put it back down in this spot. I shift the directions till it sounds ticky-tacky and it looks speckly. And I'll ink up again. Okay? For cleanup, you want to make sure that you wash everything off this brayer. There should be no more ink on this brayer. If the brayer gets any ink on it and it dries, it'll ruin this thing, and this is what you need to ink and print, okay? You can find another spoon, but you can't make another brayer, okay? I also would want to wash off this block completely, okay? And eventually, as you're printing, say you're at print number 5, if this block starts to give you problems and you have little splotches that are like, when you print out, it looks kind of speckly or dried or crusty, that means the ink on the block is building up and drying. So the best thing to do would just be to wash the block, let it dry, because you can't use a damp block, the ink won't stick to it, let it dry, and then start printing again. This ink will be okay as you wait for this block to dry off. You might have to wash these areas right here and then start again in this spot. But as for the supply of ink, that's going to be good for a while. Okay, there you go.